Hello and welcome back to the Innsmouth Case with me, Bardon. Right, so we're going to have another go at going to Delia's house and seeing what actually happens this time. So probably the next two episodes will be one, trying to not get sacrificed by Delia, and then two, seeing where we would go if we went to the other address rather than to her home. So let's continue on and see what happens. The little girl is leading you across town. When you read the street name Rella Road, you realize that you are on your way to the northern part of the city. Had you followed the address Delia left you, you would have ended up in a completely different area. The other end of town, to be exact. You wonder what would have awaited you there. Evelyn strides ahead purposely into the area in which she claims to live. Apart from the two of you, there is no one else on the streets, although it's only late afternoon. But you can sense that you are not alone. The curtains in the windows of the surrounding houses are constantly moving. The streets are getting narrower and narrower. Good thing you don't suffer from claustrophobia. Evelyn is speaking. Let's talk to the girl. Nothing wrong with clearing up a few things while you're walking. Hey, listen. Evelyn slows down and looks at you, expecting. Let's talk about video games. Something appears to make her sad. Yeah. So, you like video games? Her face lights up immediately. I love video games. My mother doesn't allow me to play them at home, and that's why I go to the arcades. I have to wait so long for the new Boom and Part 5 has just been released. That's why I couldn't stand staying at home any longer. Then her enthusiasm falters. I wasn't supposed to leave the house. I was grounded. She looks down at the footpath ahead. Again. I hope I won't get into trouble. We're nearly there. Grounded? So she must have already been at home. Maybe Delia has just found her when you arrived in town. Or maybe she couldn't let you know because reception is so bad in this place. Or maybe there's a reason why you don't get your detective license online and therefore end up with no detective skills at all. Maybe. Let's find out more. Or cheer her up. Let's cheer her up. You feel bad for the little girl. You've never seen a little girl so blue. And given her overbite, she'll have a rotten time in high school too. Kids can be so cruel. You pat her head. You'll be fine. I'll put in a good word with your mother. The girl looks back at you and, oh dear, are those tears? Before you can say anything, she turns away and wipes away her tears with her free hand. Here we are. By now you've left the narrow alleys of Old Town and you're standing in front of a wonky metal fence. Behind it, an old-fashioned mansion on a little hill. A surprisingly grand property, considering that in the rest of the town people appear to live like sardines. Evelyn, you stand there for a little while. You live here? This is where you live, up there? The girl gives you a look that perhaps best summarizes, duh, where else would I live? Yes, my family have been living here for... Here she pauses, squinting intently and thinks, about 180 years. Family tradition, then. Right, shall we go in? Evelyn nods bravely. She fishes around in her pocket and gets out a small set of keys, 2 shiny golden keys. She takes the larger one of the 2 and puts it into the lock of the gate. A bit rusty, she says apologetically. Despite the fact that she must have opened the gate many times, Evelyn needs a few attempts to finally open it. After it finally makes a loud clicking sound, the girl pushes down the massive door handle and the gate swings open. The gravel makes a crunching sound under your shoes. You've made it halfway to the house when you start to consider a few things. In a few seconds you will see Delia Marsh again. Duplicitous Delia Marsh. A shiver runs down your spine. Evelyn is already walking up the stairs to the porch and is nearly at the door. Wait a second. Your sixth sense for danger and unpleasant conversation has been triggered. Wait a moment, you say, just when Evelyn is about to put the key in the door. The hand with the set of keys drops and she turns around with a surprised expression on her face. The mind is racing, even by your standards. What is it that you want? Say goodbye. Maybe we'll do that another time, but that will then maybe just throw us back into the city, and we want to do stuff in the mansion, so never mind, let's go inside. You can't really think of what you wanted to say, and there's the matter of collecting the bonus for solving the case. Never mind, let's go inside. Evelyn nods. The girl puts the second key of the Covenant into the lock and turns it around. The door opens with a creak. The beams of the walls growl deeply and menacingly, as if you were standing in front of the mouth of a lion. Evelyn gropes for something in the darkness. You can hear a soft click, and the corridor is flooded with light. The entrance area of the house alone affects so much space that a smaller house could fit inside. A wide, white lacquered staircase leads up to the higher floor. Your steps are commented on by groaning floorboards. Mother? The little girl cries loudly into the house. The clicking of glass, then accelerating sound of high heels. A light goes on in the room next door, and shortly afterwards the door is opened wide. The backlight gives Delia Marsh's face demonic features. When her gaze falls on her daughter, her eyes reflect anger. When she sees you, horror. I wonder if all mothers in Innsmouth react this way when they are reunited with their lost. You? Hello, beautiful. Hello, beautiful. You've given up on professionalism at this stage. You can't help greeting your client with a wide grin. The expression of outright horror is still on Delia's face, while the little girl keeps looking back and forth between the two adults. Delia holds her hand in front of her mouth, an antiquated gesture which reminds you of old films in which men had strange beards and the women wore corsets. She recovers herself quickly, and an affected smile spreads on her lips. How nice to see you! Before you can reply anything, she kneels down gracefully and gently ruffles her daughter's hair. There you are, Angel. Are you okay? Evelyn nods, but she's not actually said anything ever since you entered the house. Delia seems to be satisfied with this response, apparently completely recovered from her initial shock. She gets up and gives you a dazzling smile. Dinner is almost ready. Why don't you stay so we can discuss everything else? Her smile is tense. Yeah. Again, we could just ask for payment, but I think let's do the whole thing of dinner, but not drink this time. Dinner sounds splendid. A bonus for a solved case and a free meal. If only you'd brought your Tupperware, maybe you can clarify some things over dinner. I'd love to, say, and Delia claps her hands excitedly. She turns to her daughter and purrs. Darling, please go to your room. I'll bring up your food later. The girl rushes up the stairs. Time has come. Only you and Delia. She absentmindedly strokes her hand over her décolleté. Please, come through to the dining room. Follow her. You follow Delia through the house. The property already looks grand from the outside, but it's even more impressive inside and looks even bigger. At least, that's what it appears to be. But perhaps you should simply watch fewer British sci-fi shows. Oh, I missed that the first time. That's a reference to Doctor Who and the TARDIS. You follow her without delay this time. The adjoining dining room was furnished simply, but it has an ominous and oppressive vibe about it. A massive long wooden table stands in the middle of the room. An elaborate candle holder provides warm, soft light. The walls are hung with portraits of those who must be the ancestors of the family. Just opposite where you are standing now, a door leads into another part of the house. The table is set for 3 people. A young redhead in a black and white maid's outfit is already in the room when you enter. When she sees you next to Delia, she is unable to hide her surprise. Guests seem to be rare here. Without introducing you, Delia walks up to her, and the two of them exchange a few whispered words. Without looking you in the eyes, the maid leaves the room through the door you just came in, allows secrecy for a simple dinner. Delia spreads her arms invitingly as she walks back up to you. Please, make yourself at home. Take a seat. She gestures to one of the empty chairs. Yeah, let's take a seat. So, it's very possible the maid is in on things as well, and she's drugging the food too. You do as you're told. You carefully fold your trench coat over the back of the chair. You assume that it will take a while until the food arrives. As you take off your hat and place it on the table. The table is absurdly long. This is how you've always imagined criminals having their Sunday dinner. Everyone happens to talk very loudly just to be understood by the other people at the other end of the room. But they're more pragmatic in the Marsh family. 3 covers are all at the same end of the table. The soft plopping sound of a cork pulled out of a bottle focuses your scattered thoughts. Then Delia suddenly stands next to you with an open bottle of wine in her hand. How about a glass after all this excitement? Let's decline. No, I'm fine, thanks. This seems the wrong moment for alcohol. So many things are going through your head after the events of this day. Delia frowns, her fingers play with the faded label on the wine bottle. When I was in your office, it seemed to me that you know how to appreciate a good wine. Well, she does have a point. No, we know what happens, so we're going to insist. I'm sorry, ma'am, not now, not today. Well, let me know if you change your mind, she purrs, completely ignoring what you just said. She puts the bottle down, more forcefully than perhaps necessary, and sits down. You wonder whether you should say something. Wait for the food. Sandy, you look down at your empty plates. Delia looks annoyed and keeps checking the door. She also seems to be fiddling with something under the table with her left hand. This would be a good time to ask some questions. So she's probably got the dagger in her left hand. Because she had it in her left hand when she killed us last time, right? But this is where we're going to leave this one, and we'll pick up from here next time and see what actually happens. So I hope you have enjoyed. Hope you're keeping safe right there, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button there on the right, or checking out some other videos here on the left, or perhaps you might even share with some friends.